Hello, this is Daniel Raphael, and welcome to Social Sustainability Lesson Number 2. This is a continuation of the prior lesson number 1. Today's lesson is entitled Creating Local Solutions by Validating Social Sustainability. After the presentation of the first lesson, we received several communications from people, questions about, well, okay, Daniel, this is very nice, this is all well and good, but what is the larger picture of what you're doing? And basically there are three reasons. First of all is to teach and train you how to think about social sustainability. This is the basis for the future of our society, our communities, and our larger civilization. Second, it is to teach you, inform you about how to empower local design teams. If this is successful, and I think it must be successful, there will be hundreds if not thousands of local social sustainability design teams in every community. The third reason, and this is one of the most important reasons, is that this process of using the 3 core values and the schematic for social sustainability in a team environment allows positive social change to occur. Social change that is nonviolent, nonpartisan, and that benefits everyone. Again, the team environment is guided by the 3 core values, schematic for social sustainability, which I will describe to you very soon, and we'll use today's example experientially to explain how to use this design, this procedural manual. And local design teams within the team there are specific roles, so that the roles creates a sort of synergism between the members using the schematic that further enhances the synergism. This is chapter 10. You might ask, why local teams? Because why at the local level? Why not from the top down? Well, most of us already know that the top is too far removed from us to actually be in touch with this culturally and socially to be effective with us in our communities. But real cultural change has always taken place at the local level, always. Nothing socially or culturally is ever invented at the top. There may be dictates, there may be directions, there may be missions and goals and things like that, but culturally and socially nothing is ever invented from the top. Real social change always begins at the local level, always. This simple schematic is a procedural manual. It offers us a way of procedurally examining topics to validate social sustainability or to design new social designs. Here you see the three core values: life, quality of life, growth, and equality. This is the final arbiter for all our information that we'll develop here. The team setting using the 3 core values and the schematic are able to, 1, design sustainable social processes or validate existing social processes. Does that make sense? You can use this in human resource policies development, business relationships, labor contracts, and personal or intimate relationships. Most everyone has been in a relationship where they find disappointment. You put that over here, and you work backwards. I must have expected something that brought about my disappointment. And sure enough, you'll look and you'll find beliefs that were unfounded in the relationship itself. I will further tell you this. This can be used to design treaties between countries. If this had been used to write the Treaty of Versailles, which ended World War I, if it had been used to write that treaty, the Third Reich, World War II, and the Holocaust would not have come into existence. I'll pause there for a bit. Let you think about that. Why? Because the schematic helps us take into account the truths of everyone. Its truths are self-evident. They're self-evident for the conquerors, and they're self-evident for the vanquished enemies. We will all eventually arrive in the future. And when we arrive in the future, 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now, Wouldn't you want those people who were vanquished enemies at one time to continue to be friends? Of course. But the Treaty of Versailles was not written that way. The Treaty of Versailles imposed tremendously punitive reparation payments that Germany had to make to the Allies to make payment or amends for their aggression in World War I. The Treaty of Versailles was very punitive. What happened is World War II, the Holocaust. It was tremendously disadvantageous for everyone. It caused tremendous loss of life everywhere. Chapter 11, working the schematic. We're going to use this now to work on an example, experientially. What is the project we're going to work on today? Is reducing teenage pregnancies. Let's begin. First of all, we want to write a statement, the global statement of the project. This is the kernel of thought that will guide us throughout this whole process, okay? This statement is the kernel of truth that will guide us in the designs that we come up with. Try to keep this to one sentence, okay? So we'll write in here, reduce teenage pregnancies. Number 2, area of sustainability. Does this deal with material sustainability or does it deal with social issues? It deals with social. This may seem obvious, and that's exactly the point. We want to make it obvious. Number 3 says, state the social topic being designed for sustainability. Examples: family, child rearing, community, education, healthcare, economy, commerce and trade, governance, or other. In this case, it would be childbearing, okay, because it's not listed here. Since this is not a material topic, we will not pay any attention to this line. Venue. This tells us whether we want to pay attention to the individual family or community, state, region, national, global region, or global. Well, you have to realize that if we attack the state and region, then we'll have to write this design for the community and for the individual and family. So that for the purposes of our example today, we want to use just the individual family. Okay? Statement of intention. This is very important because why are we doing this? Yes, we want to reduce teenage pregnancies, but there's another reason that we want to be involved in this, and that is to reduce abortions. So we finished number 5. We could go on and make a sub-statement, statement of intention, would be, first of all, reduce teenage pregnancies, reduce abortions, and reduce global population. That's pretty long term, but that's what social sustainability is all about, long-term thinking and planning. Now, number 1 is connected to number 6. 6 says criteria for fulfillment. This should be measurable. Okay? How will we measure when we have reduced teenage pregnancies? This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where this is the boots on the ground, so to speak. How do we know when we have accomplished this? Okay? So first of all, it would be to reduce reported births for girls ages 12 to 19. Okay? So now what do? Now we check this, we cross-validate this against the 3 core values. If we reduced reported births for girls ages 12 to 19, would this improve the quality of their life? Almost in all cases I've ever seen, I would say yes, because it reduces the time away that girls would have from school, from maturing socially, culturally, intellectually, emotionally, and so that they need this time between 12 and 19 to mature in all regards, to help prepare themselves to become sustainable individuals as adults, and further to be better prepared for the age when they do, the age of childbearing, when they do bring children into the world, so that these children that they have can be taught how to become socially sustainable. This whole process of developing, validating social sustainability has to do with transgenerational wisdom. How to teach one generation how to become more socially sustainable than the prior generation. So this is a multi-generational process. Okay? By reducing births for these girls at this age, they would be able to grow into the maturity. And they would have opportunities to develop their talents or abilities, their inner resources, as anyone else would equally. Okay? We will, I'm going to give you some more examples here, and then we'll deal with beliefs and expectations, okay? So the next one we would want to measure would be reduce school dropouts. Incidents. When I say incidents, like how many dropouts per 100,000 girls that graduate from high school, graduate from school, okay? And of course, this supports this right here, so we've already been through that we've once reduced reported births for that age group, then anything below here also applies to the three core values, okay? We want to, 3, reduce abortions for this age group, both reported and projected. 4, we can also measure this by measuring the number of girls who get on welfare. Reduce welfare and WIC enrollment. These are all measurable. This helps us know how we're doing with this process. Okay. It also would be another thing that we could measure would be reduce number of reported abandoned infants. Okay? And 6, reduce number of children, infants, put up for adoption. Okay? These are all measurable. We're doing it now, so we know how to do that. Let's cross-validate these through this, okay? We've already shown that reducing teenage pregnancies assists in increases the girls' quality of life, their capacity to grow, and to enjoy equally as other girls would who have not become pregnant and have children, to engage in developing their own inner resources. Now, let's go to beliefs. You can play with either one of these, but beliefs. Why would you want to do that? Okay, if you want to improve the quality of life, what beliefs emanate out of that we would want to write down? And we want to expose our assumptions. Okay, we believe that girls who delay childbearing until their 20s and 30s are more capably able to become socially sustainable themselves and to raise their own infants, becoming children, to become socially sustainable as well. we're saying that on the negative side, we're saying that young girls 12 to 19 have less capability of doing this, as they are not even grown themselves. Now, if we believe that, and we want to reduce teenage pregnancies, then what programs would we expect that would need to be put into place to do that, to accomplish these measurable goals? What kind of programs? You'd probably want to have preteen, prepubescent sex education, and sex education is not necessarily as bold as that statement sounds, but in the procreation and childbearing, you can get to it by teaching childbearing practices. When is the right time to have children, and why? And what would children need to make those decisions? They would need information, they need education. If we do this, what other beliefs do we have? I believe that preteens are most acceptable of receiving education who know that they're ignorant and they want information. We aren't brought into the world with this education already. We're not predisposed as animals are to procreate whenever the opportunity arises. We have a choice to make, and rational, responsible decisions can't be made without this education. When is the best time to inform children? Basically, children will tell you. They'll tell you by the questions they ask. When they ask the questions, they're ready to receive some information. Maybe not all of the information, but some of it. Right? We also believe that these child-rearing, childbearing questions and programs are best instituted also for couples who are ready to have children. Couples in their 20s and 30s who are ready to have children. That when they have this information, they will pass it on to their own children when their own children become inquisitive and curious about having babies. We also believe that boys and girls in the age group of 12 to 19 can make more responsible decisions when they have this information and they have the means by which they can protect themselves from premature pregnancies. Whatever programs we have and our beliefs must come back to the quality of life, growth, and equality. Everything that we do must contribute to these three values, that everything that we do is supported by the three values. These are fundamental to social sustainability. Let's go back. What does the schematic tell us again? The schematic is highly useful for dealing with social issues, whether labor contracts, treaties, development of personnel policies within human resource divisions and offices, for developing school curricula, and for teaching outlines. Where would these be used? They would be used by local design teams. And the next lesson that we'll have, lesson number 3, will teach about the local social design teams and the design team process. This can be used for developing sustainable economic policies, for creating solutions, not fixing problems. This is something that is useful for strategic planning and procedures, for developing short-term goals into long-term goals. Further, this is a learning device. It exposes failures to provide answers to success. Who would use the schematic? Or who would have teams? See, a company could have an internal team to their own company. They could have one in an outlying office. They could have it in a division. These teams could exist in a community. They could exist in the Parent Teachers Association. Could be something that the Kiwanis or Lions or Young Women's Association would be interested in Any church would also be interested in this too, is how to develop programs that support and enliven their religious tenets in ways that are sustainable. Truly, if there's a theology involved in this, it is that this is sustainable for people 5,000 years ago, now, and 5,000 years in the future. The principles of this are that stable. Can you imagine someone who would use this process to design a preschool program to teach children the very fundamentals of social sustainability, how to get along in their communities? This would be a wonderful process of reducing tension and stress in communities and assisting families, which are the basis of society, to raise children to become more socially sustainable. Thank you for your time. Next time will be lesson number 3, initiating and organizing your own local socially sustainable design team and the design team process. Lesson number 4, we hope, will include the social sustainability continuum and Earth's dilemma. Thank you.